Thank you. First of all, dear Graham, let me thank the party for organizing, as it is the case every year, this Congress. And I think that we are all very happy that it is organized in Portugal, in Lisbon, because there was a time that we got a Liberal Party here. I don't remember when it was, and who was the leader of that party. Later on, he became president of the Commission, and everybody has already forgotten him today. But okay, that's only a small detail. So I'm very pleased that so many years after this bad story with the PSD, we have again, between the Conservatives and the Socialists here in Portugal, a Liberal Party, the Partido di Terra. Thank you very much to have done this in this country. And you have seen already the immediate consequence of it. Yesterday it was raining here in Lisbon. Today we organized the Congress. It's blue sky. It's always like that. So, and I want also to thank everybody here in the room, not only in my name, but also in the name of Olly Rehn, who helped us in the campaign the last months in this European election. Almost everybody, I should say, because it was a tough fight together in what was for the first time a pan-European campaign, and that shall be the case also in the near future. So thank you very much for all this help we received. But we are not here to talk about these previous European elections. We are here to talk and to discuss the future of the European liberalism. And I have to tell you very clearly from the beginning, there are some people who only see doom and gloom. And they are simply saying, oh, it's not the end of history. No, it's the end of liberalism, the 21st century. Or worse, what they are doing is that they try to convince us to follow the pack, to imitate the populists. Populists were in fact saying today in Europe that the globalized world is the source of all our problems, that national borders have to be closed, that the free movement of people needs to be limited, and that the freedom of speech has to be restricted, and that the European project locked away. Well, let me tell you, by the beginning of this Congress, the future of European liberalism lies not in following the populist, the nationalist, and the protectionist from the right and of the left. The future of European liberalism lies, I think, in the fact that we have to tell our own story, abide by our own principles, and there is no doomsday scenario. On the contrary, I personally see a lot of potential. I see tons of potential in the coming years and the coming decades. In fact, I dare to say that maybe we are even better positioned than ever. Because the past years we have planted the seeds that will soon enable us to harvest. First of all, and Graham had already said it, but I want to repeat it, never in the history of our group, never in the history of our movement have we welcomed so many new political forces and new parties. And I shall not deny, naturally, the light of the sun. There is certainly a need to reinvent liberalism in some of our countries, but I think in tackling that challenge, they can find inspiration in the excellent results of our parties, in the Nordic countries, in the Baltic countries, and not to forget, naturally, I come from that, the Benelux countries. And it is in fact unique, dear friends, that there are now 3 liberal prime ministers, Xavier, Mark Rutte, and Charles Michel. I was 10 years prime minister of Belgium, and I had 2 boring Christian Democrats as my colleagues. And, well, so boring. The Luxembourg guy was quite different from the Dutch guy, I have to tell you, at that moment. But I think we are really have entered, Hans, in the golden age. You have the golden age of of Holland, that's the 17th century. Later on, we shall talk about the 21st century. That was the golden age of liberalism in the Low Countries, because not only we are in government, even the biggest party in the opposition in your country is also a liberal party. So that's already arranged for the future, D66. So, but moreover, I think they can find also fresh ideas in the new young parties. That's important, that recently joined us in our movement. NEOS in Austria. ANO is now the biggest party in the Czech Republic. Our new MEPs of 2 parties in Croatia, also for the first time. The SMC, the party of the new Prime Minister in Slovenia, recently. 2 new parties, UPD and Ciudadanos, in Spain. Some people are saying we have too much parties in Spain, but that's not true, I'm always saying. And then the Union des Démocrates Indépendants in France, of Jean-Louis Borloo and Jean-Christophe Lagarde, who are working together with Modem and are at this moment, the 4th political force in France. And of course here, I already said it, here in Portugal with the Partido da Terra. We have, in fact, and that is the first time that it is happening, expanded our geographical reach and increased our presence in all of these countries. A commitment to the future, because most of them may be young and may be small, they will soon grow into political forces to be reckoned with. And then, let's talk openly about it. The second seat is the closer cooperation between our party and the European Democratic Party. We will take, I agree with Gregor, an important decision on this matter here at this very Congress. And I can tell you one thing. ALDE and the European Democratic Party have been working together in the European Parliament for more than what it is, more or less a decade now. We share the same group. We do that, I think, in an excellent way, I must say, while naturally Frenchmen and yeah, it's not always the same as the others in the group. But so let's try to do the same in the party. Let's try to do the same with our parties. It's time, I think, to join forces, to close the ranks, to defend together our ideas, together, because in life, but certainly in politics, you stand stronger when you stand united and when you stand together. And I think that these 2 seats, combined with our principles, combined with our ideas, are the cornerstones to build on, are the foundations for our future. Because, dear friends, it were never proposals that were lacking in the liberal movement, never groundbreaking ideas that were missing. You know how we are. We are liberals, we are optimists. We are never satisfied with what exists. We are rebellious, yet also centrist. We are reasonable, but yet also impatient. And we are eager to reform, eager to reinvent, and to push for progress. We were, for example, let me give you some examples, the first to recognize the depth of the crisis in Europe, the magnitude of the challenges ahead of us. We are the only ones to tell to our citizens that the source of our problems is not too much freedom, but a lack of freedom, a lack of liberalism in our societies. And that we do not need less but more European integration to overcome our difficulties, dear friends. We are, in fact, we are today more concretely the only ones repeating over and over again from the start of the economic crisis, that fiscal discipline, for example, and the growth and investment strategy go hand in hand, that there is no contradiction, that both are necessary. And finally, I can tell you that the rest of the European political class seems to me to start to following us, that they have finally have it understood. But with the socialists, I'm never sure about that, naturally. This week, as you know, our group, the ALDE group, launched a European Recovery and Investment Act. A week before, the Commission shall come forward with its proposal. And our intention to do that with this initiative was very clear. We want to put some pressure. This new Commission we support must show ambition. It cannot be a copy-paste of the previous Commission, of the Commissions of Mr. Barroso. It has to have more ambition. The European answer to the crisis should be as big as the challenges get, not smaller, as we've seen so often in European politics. The investment gap in Europe is estimated today of around 800 billion euros for the moment. And with our liberal plan, we want to mobilize this amount, what is an enormous amount naturally, in private cash, in private money. So no new public debts, as yesterday again the socialist group has proposed. This is not wishful thinking. I can tell you, this is not wishful thinking or an impossible dream. This amount exists today. This 700 or 800 billion euro are today in Europe. It is sleeping for the moment on our bank accounts, of our households, of our private investors. Money that is today in Europe not productive, not put to use. And we want that this enormous amount goes into new investment in the European energy grid, in our digital market, and in our transport infrastructure. And it is for that reason that we want to create a European-wide investment fund that issues future bonds to mobilize that money. And to be a success, the income that the holders of these bonds receive will be tax exempt. And on top of that, we add a very simple guarantee scheme in cooperation with the member states and with the European Investment Bank. And with this fund, we are sure that this massive amount of investors will sign up and also shall do ordinary European citizens. And finally, I think that our proposal will also work as an incentive, as a pressure to instigate the necessary reforms in the member states, in their labor markets, in their pension system, and in their social security systems as a whole. We are realists, I can tell you that. We are not dreaming. We know that this investment flow will take a time in Europe because of the enormous gap, time that we in fact do not have for the moment, as we are in the middle of a crisis. So a kickstart of the European economy is necessary. And how can this be done better than with an immediate tax cut, a tax cut especially for households and for small and medium companies who both suffer the most from the crisis today. But friends, let's be honest also, and let's say the truth to the citizens of Europe. All of these ideas are useless if we don't further open, unify, and liberalize our markets, and especially the markets of the future. And this is the third stage of our plan, because you can invest all what you want, whatever amount in our economy, it shall have no effect if we have still 28 national markets in energy, in digital, and in capital. And let me give you some examples. Think you that it's normal that, for example, today, a Spanish producer of solar energy is blocked out of the French market? What is happening daily in Europe today? Do you think that we can compete with the Americans and with the Asians if, for example, a young app developer here in Europe has to seek approval of 28 supervisors today and has to make contracts with more than 150 telecom operators before he can launch his invention on a European scale, while his young American competitor has need only one authorization and only 3 agreements with mobile operators. Do you really think that it is healthy for our economy? What is happening today on the capital markets in Europe? An entrepreneur cannot use an asset in one member state to have an investment and a credit line in another. So, of course, that is not normal, but it's the reality today in the European Union, and it's not healthy. So let us change this, let's open and let's liberalize the markets in the European Union. And finally, dear friends, liberals are never in need of new ideas. Unlike many other classical parties, we do not lack ambition either, I can tell you. And so for me, this Congress is reinventing, reclaiming liberalism is quite straightforward. We must have the courage to be true to our values, live up to our liberal beliefs, and this is not only the case that I want to underline in the economic field, but it's also a question of values, of human rights, of democracy. When you face people like Viktor Orban, who want to install what he calls himself an illiberal state, who want to tax the internet and to censure the media, in short, what he wants is to copy Vladimir Putin. Well, you have to stand up to him, and that the liberals shall do in the coming months and the coming years. We cannot and we shall not tolerate such a regime in Europe. We are the party of the freedom of speech, we are the party of the freedom of enterprise, and we have to act upon it. So, dear friends, I have high hopes really, for our political family and for our party in the near future. Everything, in fact, is in place, Graham. We have the structures, we have the people, we have the ideas to move forward, to change Europe. Only the last months, we went from 3 to 5 liberal prime ministers, so it's going in the right direction, with Charles Michel in Belgium and Miro Cerar in Slovenia. So I tell you, it's only the beginning, this Congress, of an upward journey that will last, and it is the start of a new upswing of liberalism in the European Union. Thank you, and a good Congress.